Welcome to the show, everyone. We're your host, Grant Cohn, Coach Noah Johnston. It's a huge week. It's not the playoffs, but this is a playoff game in the sense that if the Niners win, their season continues, and if they lose, it most likely won't. Considering I think most of us expect New Orleans to beat Atlanta, although it's not a given. So big game. We're going to break it down in a million different ways all week, starting with right now. And the first question is, will Jimmy Garoppolo even be able to play? The Niners have a decision to make if he's healthy, but he hasn't thrown since he lost in Tennessee, which was 12 days ago. And I guess we'll see if he's healthy enough to throw tomorrow. What do you think Jimmy's going to be able to do this week, Coach?
I mean, by all expert medical opinions that people have thrown out there, doctors and reporters, that this type of injury, it's not a come back and play injury. So,
well, the Niners are making it seem like it is, like it's a pain tolerance thing. But again, my question is, how is this going to improve from then to now if we've already learned that he needs surgery to repair it? How is it going to improve?
The Niners have said it is, but injuries in the past and the same injuries in the past, and then actual like medical professionals that if you search Twitter, you can find them in their opinion analyzing this injury. It's not a 1 to 2 week injury. It's a longer injury, and top of that with the reports that he needs surgery. Right? That's and it's not like it's his thumb. It's not like it's something
on his throwing hand.
Right, on his throwing hand. Right? It's not something
of his 10 fingers.
Yeah, right. Like Jason Pierre-Paul can play without a finger, right? Like it doesn't. He doesn't. He can play without a finger.
It's true.
Jimmy Garoppolo on his throwing hand cannot play without a finger.
Well, I guess the Niners would say, like, look, he did it in Tennessee. He can do it again. And I bet he could do it. But from Jimmy Garoppolo's perspective, I mean, he's not a great quarterback when he's got all 10 fingers. He didn't look like a good quarterback with 9 fingers in Tennessee.
Right.
I think from his perspective, it's worse for him to play against the Rams less than 100% and play poorly than to use this as not as an excuse, but to just say, look, I'm injured. I'm not going to play. I think, it's not a serious injury, but I'm not going to play. That's what I expect to happen.
Didn't Kyle say if Jimmy's 100%, he'll play?
They're close to 100%. That's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, he's not going to be 100%.
He's not going to be 100%. So I don't expect him to play. I don't expect him to essentially. I don't think his camp wants him to play right now because again, it's possible the Niners are going to lose this game to the Rams no matter which quarterback plays. The Rams are good, and the Rams are good. Yeah. Just because the Niners have beaten them 5 in a row doesn't mean that. They're 4 right. So from Jimmy's perspective, instead of going out there at 70%, 50%, getting blamed for the loss, not putting up good numbers, I'll let Trey Lance lose. And then my stock won't go down as much. Maybe it'll go up.
Sorry. Yeah, that's probably part of it. But it's also if you look at Jimmy throughout his career, he's not been one to force it with an injury.
Good point. Ask Martellus Bennett. What's his name, Martellus Bennett?
And I'm not going to kill him for that either because, I think as you said in the past before, I think I saw you talking with Aponte. He doesn't owe it to the 49ers to gut it out there and play. Now, if you're talking about just football, like, might he feel like he owes it to his teammates a little bit? Yeah, but it's still professional football. So you're talking about a career here and money and all those things. So, I mean, I don't feel any type of way towards him, and I don't think anyone else should for him not gutting it out. But at the same time, also, the 49ers don't owe it to Jimmy to start him either.
Yeah. Look, so I guess everyone's saying the Niners have a tough decision to make. I think Jimmy has a tough decision to make, and I think I know which way he's gonna lean. I mean, the question is, should he play injured for the 49ers? And I think he's going to say, no, this is a serious injury. I'm only going to look bad. And you aren't committed to me long-term. So I have to think about my own brand here. And it's not, I mean, it's not like he's quitting on the team. He is injured. He would be doing the Niners a service to play injured, and I don't think he owes it to him. He has to look
Quite
out for
honestly,
himself.
I think it's best for both sides that he doesn't play. Quite honestly, I think it's better. He needs to preserve himself for the market, and I think the Niners need Lance to play to get whether win or lose. I think this experience is important.
Okay. Let's look at it from the Rams' perspective. Which quarterback do you think the Rams would rather face? Now, keep in mind, Jimmy Garoppolo's 5-0 against the Rams. That's the best record he has against any team. But he's also hurt. And Trey Lance just played quite well in the second half against the Houston Texans. What do you think? Who would they rather face?
They would. It's kind of a tough one because
It's tough.
they aren't great against any of the Niners quarterbacks. I mean, right? Like it seems anyone that they tried out there from Mullins to Garoppolo and can beat the Rams.
Yeah.
That being said, I think if you're talking about injured Jimmy, I think they'd probably prefer to play injured Jimmy. If you're talking about,
I think they'd probably rather play Jimmy one way or another. Because look, they've faced Jimmy. Even though they haven't beaten him, they've faced him 5 times. And if you face Jimmy 5 times, you know exactly what to expect. You're not going to get something different the 6th time. So they've got to feel like their game plan at least would be sound. And that if they at least could execute it for once, that they're due. I think, and then you look at Lance, he's a huge unknown. You don't have a scouting report on Lance. You don't know Kyle Shanahan's play calling tendencies with Lance because Kyle doesn't know Kyle's play calling tendencies with Lance. He's still figuring it out. So I think the fear of the unknown is a bigger fear than whatever Jimmy presents. His third down, his long drives, his third down conversions, his handoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that to a certain point. I also think it could end up going the other way. I mean, I like what I've seen with Lance but
I
I think
he's a rookie. It's a playoff game. It's high stakes, right?
Yeah, you don't know which way. Now,
beating the Texans is not like beating the Rams. It's different.
Right. We talked about this last week, though. I said that there are 2 guys in this draft class that I think are equipped to handle these situations, and I think it's Lance, and I think it was Mac Jones because their programs are their top echelon.
They played national championships. Right? Yeah.
So we'll see. But I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think they would rather face Jimmy. But again, let's lay out the other side of it. Again, this is a rookie. Rookies generally don't do well in the playoffs. This is a playoff game. And usually you want to go with the vet because you don't know how he's going to – it's going to be like probably a tight, low-scoring game. And whichever quarterback makes more mistakes is going to lose. I mean, is Trey ready for that game? It's not just going to be like, hey, the opposing offense is going to do nothing the entire time. And whenever you feel like getting it going, you'll win. So it's going to be a whole lot way different thing. And that interception that you threw trying to force the ball at Kittle could lose the game.
Right. It's gonna be in LA. Like LeBron James is gonna be there, gonna be showing everybody, it's gonna be a big game.
It's gonna be a big game. I do think the Rams are hoping they're gonna get Jimmy. I don't think they're gonna get Jimmy. We'll see how it goes. All right. Before we break down this game, let's look past it. If Lance wins, will he start in the playoffs, or will Jimmy Garoppolo come back and be like, hey, guess what? My thumb feels better. And will they go to the vet at that point?
Depends how he wins, right? Like if he comes out there and it looks like Arizona or maybe he's like 10 of 20 for like 178, a pick, a touchdown, but they still end up winning because they played great defense and
they win like 10-7. Okay.
Yeah, or even So if he's kind of erratic, like I think Jimmy comes back. Now, if he has the game he has last week, then Kyle's got a big decision, and Jimmy's ready to play. If he comes out and he throws for 250 and runs for 90 or throws for 300 or something, I think you go with the high hand.
I think if he beats the Rams, that's it. It's over for Jimmy. I think you keep him. And this is another reason I think the Niners should start Lance this week. not only is Jimmy injured, but he's rusty. He hasn't played in 2 weeks. He hasn't practiced. And to just throw him out there without any preparation, like you saw him, what he looked like coming off an injury against Indianapolis. He was terrible. And the Niners constantly use that excuse like, well, he was a little rusty. He was coming off an injury. Well, he'll be doubly rusty this time. I just don't see how Jimmy Garoppolo can magically come back and be the mediocre quarterback he used to be. I think he's compromised. And you got to go to Lance. If he finds a way to win a playoff game, which is what I don't care what his numbers are going to be, stick with him. Don't try to rush back Jimmy Garoppolo, who's rusty and injured.
You said will he, not should he. I agree with you.
I'm with you. I hear you.
But you asked me what will he, and that's
true.
what I think they would do.
Kyle's been so conservative about this, and he's been so scared about what might happen with Trey Lance because Jimmy's mediocre, but he's a known quantity. Like, you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think just the unknownness about Trey's played 3 games in the last 24 months has been scary to Kyle, but embrace it.
I would agree with that. And he said as much, right? Hasn't he said in his interview,
right. I just don't have a feel for the
I don't have a feel for how to call the offense. And you saw it last week in the first half with how he called it. He was very conservative. Then when
that really annoyed me. He called a scared game. It's like, dude, you gotta trust. And look, we're gonna talk about this later. We talk about the game plan, but he's gonna have to be much more aggressive to beat the Rams. That game plan, which was like basically, I hope Davis Mills loses the game before we have to do anything, is not gonna work against the Rams. Although Stafford does throw a lot of picks, but you can't approach it like that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we're both English guys. The two paths.
Yeah.
Take the nasty path with the bushes and all that stuff.
Take the trail you haven't, the path less traveled. Take it.
Yes.
Don't be scared, because the Jimmy Garoppolo path is boring.
Right.
It's tedious. It requires a lot of work from you and Debo and Kittle. Just saying.
And ultimately, it really doesn't go anywhere, right?
It doesn't go anywhere. It brings you right back to that same decision. I think that if he wins this game, he got to stick with him. And if he loses this game, well, then you say, well, maybe they should have had him more prepared for this moment. Because I think a lot of Niner fans, if they lose with Lance, are going to say, well, Jimmy would have won this game. Well, Jimmy was hurt. Jimmy wasn't there. They needed to be prepared for their rookie quarterback to have to step in and win playoff type games. And we see that he's got the talent. He looks like he's going to be the man of the future, but they put him on ice for 3 months for no good reason. And if they lose, I think they're going to have to answer for that. But they haven't lost yet. They haven't lost yet.
Grant, now we've seen a lot of these rookie quarterbacks. None of them really look like total, they don't look like total trash. Like, Zach Wilson had them in a game yesterday. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looked like trash, but Jacksonville's a dumpster fire. So I'm not going to put on him. But he's had moments where he looks like, it was when they played the Niners, it certainly wasn't their fault. I mean, all these kids, they're all right. Like, you put a team around them.
Yeah, agree. Tommy says Jimmy Ward was feeling sick in post-game interview. Let's talk about that right now. Let's skip ahead. The COVID impact on this game. The Niners had a bunch of guys test positive for COVID. Jimmy Ward is one of them. Who else is it? K'Wan Williams? Hold on. Dante Johnson, K'Wan Williams, Raheem Mostert not playing, and Jimmy Ward. That's 3 DBs. So if they can pass a couple tests and have no symptoms in 5 days, they can play. But, from what I understand, this can have a big impact on your conditioning. Curious to see how this impacts the game. Like Mitch Wishnowsky had this happen to him last week. He doesn't run around very much. Now you got key DBs who will be in coverage on Cooper Kupp. Really aren't practicing this week, even if they do play this week. I think that's got to have an impact.
I think the impact to me is if they don't, I am super scared if Jimmy Ward. We've seen this before when this year when Jimmy Ward didn't play.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's impactful on their defense.
Because if Tavon Wilson's the next guy up, and it's like
right. No.
Yeah, not good.
I mean, just aside the fact that Jimmy, we all have, I think, at this point, a ton of respect for Jimmy Ward and who he is. as a player.
Yeah.
But then also, right, their backups aren't adequate backups. And
No.
so, and couple that, their corners aren't. I think their corners are better than people give them credit for. However, the strength of their defense are those two safeties. And if they don't have that strength there, it makes those corners even weaker.
True. And I look at the nickel spot. You got K1 and Dante because the backup's Dante.
Right.
So now you're in a position where the Diamador is going to get all the first team reps at nickel this week and not play that position during the game.
I do think those guys are vets. I do think they can probably go. They can go a week without practicing, and I think they'll be fine.
I'm more concerned about their conditioning.
Yeah, if they can't,
you never know how people react to that illness. I've never.
Yeah, and then my question is that they said they're in COVID protocol, so they've tested, right? That means they've tested positive. But I mean, I know people that have tested positive and they have no symptoms at all. I mean, it's with COVID, it's a little different for everybody. So you don't know the extent that it's affecting any of these players. They might have just tested positive and just have no symptoms at all. So,
but again, this is important to monitor throughout the week because if the Niners lose, it's going to, Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. will be big reasons why. And the Niners are now impacted in their secondary. So this is something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Eddie Marcos 916 says, regardless of the quarterback, just run the ball. Yeah, I would agree. Like when the Niners have beaten the Rams, usually it's because of Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, Deebo Samuel running the ball. So
I think they only averaged 3.5 yards per carry in the last game when they played the Rams. It wasn't necessarily, we need that.
Yeah, Mitchell did, right?
Yeah,
I think Deebo averaged a whole lot of yards per carry.
So they just need the carries and sustain a sustained running attack.
Gambin Brown says Josh Norman peanut punch to the rescue. Yeah, no, he needs to stay on the bench. Hopefully Mosley to the rescue. Let's stick with the secondary. Nope, this one. Here we go. So Ambry Thomas has been playing well the last 2 games. He's had 2 good games in a row. I think part of that is the fact that Norman's been bad and teams have been picking on him. And also I think Ambry's gotten just a little bit lucky in the sense that in Tennessee, he got away with some contact in the end zone. That's fine. Happens. Just, it won't always happen. Mm-hmm. And then you forget, but he got away with a 43-yard pass interference penalty that got called back because someone on Houston was holding in the backfield or something. So I'm just saying, if Mosley comes back, Thomas is on the field most likely. He's going to have to go up against Odell Beckham Jr., who really wasn't a factor in the first game. He'd just been on the team for 2 days. He didn't know the offense. They put him in this opening script, and then he was pretty much not a non-factor. He's going to be a factor in this game, and I think this matchup between Ambry and Odell is a big one. He's faced better receivers than Odell Beckham, but what do you think? What do you anticipate from this matchup?
I think Ambry's going to have to make a play. I think if you think about it, in the past couple of weeks, he's been in position to make, off the top of my head, 3 picks. He should have had 3 picks. Yes. This is a week where he has to come up with that pick. And that'll help offset some of the mistakes that he makes and probably will inevitably make versus Cooper Kupp or Odell Beckham, whoever they match up on him. He has gotten better, but he's going to have to make some of those plays where he hasn't in the last couple games. He could have had a pick 6 in the last game. And the previous game, I think versus Titans, as I recall, he had an opportunity to pick off 2 balls. So he's got to
hold on. Let me say, I'm going to take a different tack here. Make a play would be great. He has to not get burned deep because I'm not sold that he's gotten over that issue. He did have a long pass interference penalty. He's a big play waiting to happen, in my opinion, even though, he gave up a big play to A.J. Brown in his really good game a couple of weeks ago. And this one, he almost did, but it got called back. Is he going to give up the big play? If he doesn't, if he can just kind of keep stuff in front of him, not give up a touchdown, no big plays, even if he doesn't have an interception, you'd have to take that as a win, considering that this is definitely a matchup disadvantage for the 49ers.
See, I'm looking at it as I think he is going to give up the big play. So where am I going to get? Am I going to get something back?
Get it back. Yeah. Yeah.
How can I get it back? And honestly, in my opinion, I prefer corners that don't give up the big plays. I'll live with not getting a big play as long as you don't give up the big plays.
Right.
However, I see him putting himself in position. So to me, I think it's probably more probable that you can get him to get one of those balls than to stop giving up deep passes. Although if you give him help, on certain instances, that might help him.
Yeah. It seems to me, again, I'm expecting a grim, tight, playoff type, low scoring game where both play callers aren't taking a lot of chances, and one big play given up by Ambry Thomas could swing things. So I'm watching this. He has played well the last 2 games, but I'm kind of wondering, is it a little bit of a mirage? Is he going to come back down to earth? Are the Rams going to go after him in ways he hasn't been targeted the last couple of weeks because Mosley's back? Again, we don't know if Mosley's back. It could be Norman again. In which case,
they are going to target him, and
they will.
And depending on how that goes, it'll determine whether they target him more, and they'll target Norman. And depending on how that goes, they're going to see who's the weakest link.
Ryan Hensley says, excited about Trey. My only fear playing him against the Rams is if he loses that pressure, the stands. Only argument I have for playing Jimmy. Yeah, I hear that. A lot of people are be really mad at Trey Lance if he plays and loses, but it's not, again, I don't think the Niners are picking Trey over Jimmy. If Jimmy's healthy, I think that's pretty clear the Niners want Jimmy to play. Like, they disagree with us. I think the Niners would go the conservative route and say, we're not going to put a rookie in this situation. It's a playoff game. We have a vet. He's 5-0 against his team. We're going to play it safe and go with Jimmy. I don't think Jimmy's giving them that option right now. So Jimmy Garoppolo fans, I don't see why you would use it as a victory lap. I mean, do you really want Jimmy Garoppolo to come back after what you saw Trey Lance do in the second half of this game? Do you? I don't. Does anyone? Anyone?
Right. Especially if your excuse for him throwing that pick in the previous games because his thumb was hurt, then you want him making that same mistake in this game?
And his excuse for playing poorly against the Colts was that he was rusty coming off an injury. So, okay, he hasn't played in 2 weeks. Thank you, Tinker, for becoming a member. Let's keep going with his matchup. The Niners often, you always want, what are they going to do against Aaron Donald? What are they going to do without Mike McGlinchey? Remember when Mike McGlinchey went down, people were just like, oh, my God, the season's over because Mike is so great and his backup, Tom Compton, is so bad. But it turns out no one's ever talked about Tom Compton since then. Everyone was really nervous, and then it's like, we don't talk about him anymore, which is usually a good thing for offensive linemen.
Right. Like we haven't talked about McGlinchey and Compton in weeks since Compton gave up that safety in the end zone, right? But
true.
Outside of that, haven't talked about
Compton. Wouldn't have been a safety if Trey Lance was a quarterback. I'm sorry. It was just hanging out there. I had to say it.
We haven't talked about Compton or McGlinchey at all, which means Compton's doing his job. And he's doing it admirably. So, I mean, I think it's a lot to be said for both players, right? Like, do the Niners really need McGlinchey? And what can they deal with at that right tackle position? Because you've got a guy that you're paying $10 million or going to be paying $10 million to play that position, and a guy's doing it for 1.9 or 2, whatever he's getting paid now.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting that the Niners look. I went on a whole crusade last year that say that Mike McGlinchey was the weak link on the offense. A lot of people were like, "You're just saying that because you're a Nick Mullins fan and you're looking to scapegoat someone other than Mullins." Well, yeah, obviously, but I was right because Mike McGlinchey was really making it tough on the Niners offense and Mullins to execute. McGlinchey goes out, Compton comes in. You could argue he's better. And the crazy thing is the Niners believed all the hype with McGlinchey, picked up his 5th-year option. Now they're stuck paying him almost $11 million guaranteed next year when, I mean, this is an obvious, clear-cut way to save $10 million. Get rid of him, keep Tom Compton, no drop-off, maybe even get better at the position. But no, you can't do that because you're stuck with Mike.
Wait, by the way, Compton never played tackle. He was guard.
Yeah, that's right.
This is his first time playing tackle. He might have played it here and there, but this is his first
time.
Time.
It's been a while. Yeah. So good for the Niners. Again, the Niners always have these fines, but then they can't use them because they're way over invested in some bust in the starting lineup. It's like, I don't know.
What they might be able to do is just give McGlinchey away. Like, just get like someone like the Jets or something, like
someone with cap space that doesn't care.
Cap space that the Jets know him and they're looking.
Would you give us a first, like an 8th round pick in 2074? Yeah. Yes, absolutely done.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, send it to the Jets. He'll really love it. He can get those.
He's from New Jersey. He's from New Jersey, right? He's from New Jersey.
He's right. He's from Philly. I think he's from Philly. I think he's from Pennsylvania. Kittle which is the same thing. Kittle and Jimmy are buds. Trey taking Jimbo's job. What does buds have to do with it? Whoa. What's buds have to do with it, man? This is a business. This is a business. You got to go with the guy who gives you the best chance to win. And I understand the Niners being like, well, beating the Texans doesn't necessarily prove that Trey has the hot hand because Jimmy would have beat him too. Okay, fine. If he beats the Rams, that's hot hand. Hot hand theory. Sean Lewis became a YouTube. Thank you, Sean. Hot hand theory. It's a business. It's like that quote from Purple Rain. You don't know what I'm talking about. Scott Martin says, when Trey Lance starts, will Kittle become underutilized? Yes. Trade him for a first? It's a lot of dead money.
I disagree with that a little bit because, I mean, for a period of like a stretch of games, we thought Kittle was underutilized with Jimmy, right?
Good point.
And you have to understand that the Niners offense, regardless of who's playing quarterback, they're not hucking and chucking it around. So, like, they're not going to have 3 receivers with 100 and something yards. Yeah. That's
also
just
Kyle hasn't really figured out how the whole offense is going to work with Trey yet. I mean, he's figured it out with Jimmy. He's been doing it for half a decade with Jimmy. This is a whole different thing, and he's got to incorporate everything now.
Right.
Yeah.
And now Trey Lance does throw to the outside more. Yeah. However, that's not like he doesn't throw over the middle. And
he hit Kittle in the middle over the middle in this game.
Right. And at ND State, his tight ends were the recipients of the bulk of his touchdowns. It was 16 touchdowns for his tight ends and fullback. His tight ends, and then the receivers had 10. So,
yeah. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you just need some time on task together. They haven't practiced much together. Can you block Dick Tracy? All he do is troll. Or I'm gonna put him on a timeout and see if that clears up the. Hold on, let me see. Timeout. Buster. Okay, moving on. Where the Niners need to adjust in this game in particular. What do you think?
What's been driving me crazy the last couple of weeks is in situations where you know who the ball is going to, they don't take said receiver away. And it's particularly annoying when the offenses only have one said receiver.
Yes.
You got to have some sort of double concept in your pack, whether
you have to have multiple.
Whether it's a true double or like a box and one. Like a box and one is like.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have all kind of different ways. Thank you.
Instead of playing 2 under, 5 under, 2 deep, you play 4 under and 4 under, 2 deep, and then you man coverage said receiver.
There's lots of ways to do this. Yes.
Right. There's different, but you got to take that guy away. I'm at home.
It's the same concept in basketball. If you're playing a team with one good offensive player, you can't let that guy beat you. There are many ways to force the other 4 guys to shoot the ball. Right. I'm just saying, same concept.
Right. It's particularly right when a team only has one weapon. However, there are instances where you know where they're going. Like there's going to be times in this game come up where you're going to be like, oh, they're going to Cooper Kupp. Take him away.
And the Niners' trump card in those situations has been Jimmy Ward. So it'll be interesting to see what his not practicing this week. What's his conditioning going to be? I mean, it's too bad that he has COVID right now. They need him. He's very important.
And if you think about it, in the game of football, right, players make plays in critical situations. Like when the Niners lost in the Super Bowl and they got and that 3rd and 15 was converted, it wasn't converted by Joe Schmo. It was Tyreek Hill.
He made a play and Emmanuel Mosley didn't in a big moment. Yeah.
Right. It was Tyreek Hill. in that my one criticism in that time was like on 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20. That's the guy. That's the one guy I want coverage. He's the fastest guy on the field.
Where do you think it's going on 3rd and 15? They don't have time to get Kelsey down the field with Bosa and Buckner and Armstead and Ford rushing. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Dwight Clark, the catch, right? Dwight Clark wasn't like, at Francis F. Scott Key, whatever. Like, he was a player, right? Like he made that he wasn't a random guy.
That was random. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a random guy. It was Dwight Clark. Like the only one I could think of off the top of my head is David Tyree in the Super Bowl when he caught the thing off of his helmet. Like I'll live with that as defensive coordinator. You got to catch the thing on your helmet, and I don't know who you are. Like, okay, fine.
It's true though. It's true. Yeah, you got to tip your cap in that instance. So again, don't let Cooper Kupp beat you. The only thing I think is troubling about this matchup compared to the first one this season is that Beckham should be a bigger factor. Again, Beckham had been on the team for like 2 days. He didn't know the offense. They put him into the script. They're like, here's our opening script. Remember these 2 plays. We'll throw them to you. One was completed. One was a pick. That was it. Now he's pretty much Robert Woods in their offense. So I'm curious to see what that'll.
The Rams aren't the Titans, and they're not, and they're not the Texans. They're not limited by one option. But I do think there are moments where you have an idea where they're going with a football and you can double.
I agree. Wesley Calderon says, just wanted to clear something up. We didn't boo Trey. We booed Banana Hands. No, sorry. We booed Banana Hands play calls for Trey in the first half. Hope to meet you, Grant, and talk facts one day. Same to you, Wesley. Good to know. And I think that was the appropriate response. Like, we're here to see Trey Lance play. Will you please unleash him? Because I think everyone kind of sensed Kyle Shanahan's apprehension in the first half. Pretty much didn't take the shackles off until he was forced to in that 2-minute drive. It was it was 38 seconds left in the first half, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 38 seconds. I think they got the ball back with two minutes and went 3 and out. So it was like, yeah.
I was surprised he actually let him go for it on a drive. Like I almost thought that he was just gonna like run the ball and go into halftime.
If they were facing a team with any offense whatsoever, they would have done that. But it was clear that Houston wasn't going to do anything. So I think it was like, I mean, oh well, give it a shot. Trey got better as the game went on. Trey area. I think Kyle got better as the game went on, and it's not that Kyle was like a coward. Although he wasn't aggressive, it's just he didn't want Trey to lose the game against Houston right off the bat. He wanted Houston to lose it first, and he doesn't again really have a great feel for calling games with Trey yet, but he seemed to figure it out a lot better in the second half. So that's something.
Yeah, this is one of the things. It's if Kyle is forced to play Trey, he might start. I think he will start to get more comfortable with him. And we talked about earlier in this cast is a lot of it's a Kyle issue. It's not a Trey Lance issue. Kyle needs to be comfortable and calling plays for him.
Right. Yes.
And this injury is forcing him to do so.
Yes. Lucas Bissell says, are the Rams guaranteed a playoff spot? And if so, is there any chance they play backups? Yes, they are guaranteed a playoff spot, I believe, but they're not guaranteed a home game in the first round. And
they have something to play. They have something to play for.
Yes. Good question.
And not only that is, I think they probably would love to knock the 49ers out of the playoffs, considering the Niners have had their number last couple of years.
Tinker says, take Cooper Kupp out of the game, blitz all night, playoff bound. The thing is, the Niners didn't take Cooper Kupp out of the game last time. Cooper had a big game. The Niners just went up early because of 2 fluky interceptions, 2 picks. They went up early. The game was out of hand in the first quarter. That's probably not going to happen again. Can the Niners win a tight game that's close the whole time and take Cooper Kupp out? Not sure.
I'm going to disagree with what's part of that is you don't want to blitz all night. Like you want to pick your spots when to blitz. You don't want to get Ambry and Josh Norman singled up on those receivers. You have a good pass rush. Let them go to work.
Mo Dollars always here with Mo Dollars. Says every loss has been the same reasons: bad penalties, bad Jimmy, bad special teams, no accountability. This team sweeps their issues under the bed. To me, the Niners' issues are 2 things: Jimmy I mean, they're 1-6 when he throws a pick. Jimmy and Kyle's decision making. Jimmy's out now. So 50% of the Niners' problems are out the door. I trust Trey's decision making more than Jimmy's. But I still don't trust Kyle in a big game. I still think he's his own worst enemy, and this is a huge game. And I know he owns Sean McVay, but I'm just curious to see like what erratic decision is Kyle Shanahan going to make in this game. I don't know. It's his pattern.
I felt like his pick wasn't a bad decision; it was a bad throw. Like
that's what he said too. That's what he said too. I agree with him. He's like, I defend that decision. It was a bad throw. I short armed it. Had I put it where I wanted to, no one would be upset right now. That's what he said. So okay, confident answer. Yeah, confident answer. How many PI calls for Norman this week? Because if you remember, also, it's a shot play to Kittle. It's not like a full field read. That Y leak is pretty much you hit him or throw it away. It's not like that's the way I look at it. It's a shot play, not a full progression.
Right.
How many PI calls for Norman this week? 0. Hopefully he doesn't play. No way the Niners win 6 in a row against the Rams. That's tough. It's tough. That's another reason I'm saying I think the Rams would rather face Jimmy, is they're thinking there's no way this mediocrity beats us 6 in a row. There's no way. Because he's not the reason the Niners are beating us. It's Elijah Mitchell, Debo Samuel. Like, we got to be able to do what Tennessee did at some point. No?
Yeah, I do think, right. Yeah, I do agree with that.
I feel a Lance v. Stafford shootout coming. I don't. I feel a low-scoring game coming. I'm
taking the Niners over-under. The Niners don't want to play that game. They do not want Lance in a shootout. They want to control the pace of the game. They want him to make some big plays. They want him to not turn the ball over.
It's a rookie quarterback in a playoff-esque game. He's played 3 games in the last 24 months. Come on. There's a reason they want Jimmy Garoppolo to gut it out with an injury. Like, there's a reason. But they're going to, in spite of themselves, they're going to play the right guy. And he just has to manage the game.
Yeah.
Take some shots early, be aggressive, but you don't have to throw a lot. But 25 throws, but not a bunch of dinks and dunks early on like this last game. You need to take your shots early and make a statement and back that defense off and run the ball.
Yeah. I will say that Lance does add a certain, because of his unpredictability, he does add a certain layer that especially in this scenario where they're going to have to, if they win, they're going to have to play the Rams again, more than likely the following week. So it's going to add it's going to really affect the next 2 games if that ends up happening.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Jimmy matches up well with the Rams because his quick release kind of negates the Rams pass rush a little bit. Well, as we saw in the second half with Lance, a big thing with him is going to be that like pocket movement off play action. And that'll get him away from Aaron Donald too. Like, there's going to be a lot of ways to negate Aaron Donald in that pass rush without Jimmy Garoppolo. You can get Lance on the perimeter. He gets out there so fast. He really accelerates very well off the play action stuff, flips his hips around quickly. He's really good at it. And I think that's one way to negate Aaron Donald.
And he attacks the line of scrimmage looking to throw.
Yep. Thank you, Joe. All right, last topic. Hold on. Scott says, what's the real deal with Trey Lance's wobble? Poor mechanics. Maybe his hands are a little small. He doesn't have big 10-inch hands. Maybe, I don't know. Good question. What do you think?
It's hard for me to say, but it definitely is. To me, it definitely is a mechanic issue. And if you watch him I was a big wobble guy in the preseason. I thought that it was one of the issues that it was causing drops by the receivers because of the velocity and the wobble. It was making it difficult. So I actually looked back at ND State and I didn't see the wobble. So something happened over the course of time, whether it was that injury or during the preseason, or him refining his mechanics and then not being comfortable. But that wobble wasn't there before. I didn't see it as much. They weren't tight spirals.
Smaller ball in college.
Yeah, there weren't tight spirals in this last game, but I thought it was better. I think he can improve it.
I don't think anyone dropped any passes in this game because of his wobble. I think Peyton Manning threw with a wobble. I think Jimmy has a wobble a lot of the time. Now, Lance throws harder, so it's exacerbated. But again, I don't think it was as bad as it was earlier this year, and I don't think it was an issue in this game. Personally.
No, I don't think it was an issue in this game.
Personally.
But I also
It
think
could be an issue in the future, but in this game, I don't think it was.
I also thought it was better in this game too.
Yeah, I agree. And I also thought his ball placement was good. Like, well, there were some exceptions. He didn't make every throw, but he didn't have that wild high miss that he had.
No, it was actually like I like the low placement on the ball on some of these
That's
balls.
fine. Right, because that's if you miss, it's incomplete. It's not a pick. As a play caller, I'd be terrified to call the dig route for Trey, because if I call 5 and you miss 1, the one you miss is going to be a pick. But he didn't do that in this game. Now, the one of the near picks that people call a near pick was a dig that the linebacker got the hand on the one hand. As soon as he did that, I was like, Kyle, what are you doing? That's a Jimmy throw. That's not a Trey play.
Right.
Same. Yeah. And although he didn't do anything wrong in that play, I don't know. He just had to.
Yeah, and just remember, Jimmy will throw a couple near picks in a game too. So those are near picks.
When Lance does it, everyone's like, "See, right there is why he's not ready." It's like, wait, did you not watch the Tennessee game? Well, wait a second. Yeah. Tinker says it would be beautiful to see the offense in the zone run game with pre-snap misdirections where the broadcast camera can't even keep up with where the ball is. Anyways, go Niners. Yeah, I think that would take a full offseason of the entire offense practicing it together. I don't think you're going to see that type of, you know what I mean? But again, they just haven't committed to it. Like the blockers, everyone, they haven't put enough time on task.
I do think this would be the advantage of Lance playing and then him having to play if he plays the Rams 2 games in a row. Like the entire Lance offense isn't in. Like it's not established. So as each game goes on, Lance is going to get better, and then the offense they're going to add progressive layers into that offense. So like them playing the 49ers 1 week, this week is not going to be the same as them playing the 49ers the next week, because Lance there'll be more in that offense.
7MP says people bitching about Lance's wobble. Dude can throw the deep pass to open receivers and people are complaining he doesn't throw spirals. That's funny. I don't think we're complaining about that, but I like the way you kind of set that up and put it in perspective. Like, yeah, man, that throw, as soon as he hit that throw to Debo, I saw a lot of people being like, oh, he underthrew the pass. Like,
yeah.
Come on. At least he didn't overthrow it like Kyle Juszczyk.
That's what I was going to say. How did that Kyle Juszczyk throw work out for Jimmy?
Yeah. Look, I think probably 95% of people, including me, watch these quarterbacks and just want to be right on something they said in the past and aren't really evaluating them unbiased. I mean, that's just human nature at this point. But when people do that with Trey, that's what it is. It's like you wrote him off months ago and you just want to be right. So I'm not taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
But now I wrote off Trey Lance when I first saw him in January. I was like, no way this dude with this resume is going to be anything. That was January. I spent 5 months talking about it with you and everyone on the show. And by the end, it was pretty clear that he was off the charts in everything except accuracy and experience. And I felt comfortable with everything else to feel like he'd work out. And so far, so good. So we'll see.
I have seen some hardcore Jimmy guys starting to come over. So, it started with Ted, but
Ted was a trailblazer on that one.
Yeah, he was a trailblazer. Shout out to Ted. But those other guys, after this past week, I've seen a couple start to come over. So, it's only a matter of time.
It's true. Joe Harris says, if both are healthy, do you call the other up if one has a terrible first half? Is now the week to go 2 quarterback system? Tag team. Just a tag team. And each time they have to tag each other, like the Dudley brothers boys.
Jimmy, at least with Jimmy in the past, Kyle seems to have a long leash. So
my prediction is that Jimmy will be inactive for this game and he will not throw another pass, even in practice for the
and and you're not gonna put in Nate Sudfeld for Trey Lance, right?
We have to see what mostly because you don't know how the defense is going to react to Sudfeld.
I mean, I guess if Lance came out and threw 4 straight picks or something, but that's not.
San Fran 49er fan says, can't wait to see that monster Dwelly block Donald out of his jockstrap again. Hey, Aaron, know who Debo is yet? Good call. Man. Okay. Nick Bosa. So it's interesting. You play enough in the league. You have enough success they're very smart defensive coordinators. They all kind of study each other and build on what each other have done. And right now, there's been some success chipping Bosa. It seems to knock him off balance. It seems to take him out of his game. Some teams have done it with success this year. Now, there's not a whole lot Bosa can do to beat it. But it requires at least two people to execute that. And what it does is give everyone else essentially one-on-one matchups. And what we've seen the last few weeks is a good pass rush from the 49ers. Like Bosa gets his holding penalty, but everyone else gets one-on-ones. And now Armstead's winning. Ebukam's winning. Key wins a lot. Now he makes stupid penalties. He probably should stop that. But everyone else seems to be doing well. So it seems like, okay, you want to shut down Bosa. You can't shut down the whole pass rush, though. Just kind of pick how you want to get it.
It eliminates the tight end as a vertical threat. Like
that's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point. Or the running back as a check down threat.
Right. Yeah. At least initially, right? I mean, you could run a delay route, but I mean, for a vertical route, you really don't want to do that.
So Bosa's coming out like depressed after the game, looking real sad, like it's costing him money. And it is costing him money, but I don't think it's costing the 49ers defense anything.
No. And again, if you're averting attention in one direction, it's freaking up on, as long as the other guys are making the plays, then you're good.
I saw a spreadsheet say that it was Chris Koserick figured out that he had to unleash the rest of the pass rush. Like, no, it's just what happens when everyone else has one-on-ones like this. I don't know that Chris Koserick figured something out other than guys got good matchups and are winning them now. I think that's what's happening. Thank Bosa, not Koserick. Bosa's getting all this attention, and this is the natural result of that. So it's not the worst. It's not like you can shut down Bosa, I guess, but you can't shut down the Niners pass rush right now.
Yeah.
As long as Arden Key does what he does. Can Arden Key stop with the stupid penalties? Like, I mean, really, right? Like, it's either a roughing the passer or he jumps off sides. Dude, come on. You're this close to getting a lot of money. Just stop with that. He's all good. We should blitz a little more on third downs. I feel like we rely too heavily on our front four. What do y'all think? Sure. I mean, especially if they're gearing up to stop Bosa, you can do all kind of things. I don't know if they did a lot of blitzing on third down last year because they had Verrett and they felt comfortable in those single high coverages because you have to go single high when you blitz pretty much. So I don't know. I don't know, because what happens is you blitz, it's single high. Ambry Thomas is one-on-one. The ball comes out fast, and it's a go route. All they have to see pre-snap on 3rd and 5 is they're showing blitz single high. I mean, you don't have to signal to the guy. You can say him before the game. Hey, if we ever on 3rd and down get single high, and you have Ambry Thomas, just know you're running a 9 route. Just convert it, and I'll just give you the little. We'll just go like this. You know, that's gonna happen.
Josh Norman and Ambry Thomas are not guys that you want caught vertically down the field. And now,
because it's just at best it's a DPI.
Right. Excuse me. Mosley, if he plays this week, it's going to give you more. Obviously, he's better than both those guys. However, I still wouldn't want to be blitzing heavy with Mosley and Ambry Thomas out there. You pick your spots when you want to send guys. Send 5, pick a spot when you want to send 6. Don't do it a lot, and then you can run some zone fires. I know both Salah and D'Amico like to do that. I saw they ran it last week. They brought blitzers and then dropped the defensive tackle. Do that kind of stuff, but you don't want guys hanging out alone down the field.
Sure. But you also don't want to do the same thing all the time. You got to switch it up. Correct. You got to pick your spots to blitz, as you pointed out. And one way they can do it, my favorite blitz the Niners have called for the last few years.
The nickel blitz, right?
Yes. And it works especially well against the Rams because you can trust Jimmy straight up one-on-one against Cooper Kupp in the slot, like their best receiver. You can trust Jimmy Ward in that matchup, and that unleashes Cohn, whose best attribute, in my opinion, is how he's Jamal Adams. He just doesn't get paid like it, but he's a lot like Jamal Adams. He's a really good pass rusher. Used.
D'Amico's starting to use Tart in that role.
Yes. So that's cool. In Jimmy's 5 wins versus the Rams, our defense holds them to 15.4 points average, and we run for 133 yards average. Jimmy's 8 TDs to 6 turnovers. Lance will be fine. That's a really great point. It's not like Jimmy is the reason the Niners have won these games.
Right.
Look at the defense in the run game. And, of course, Jimmy's ability to convert on third down and have long drives helps. You probably won't get that as much with Lance, but the big play, the quick strike, that helps too. And not turning the ball over helps. So
I think if you look at what Lance did in the last game, and we'll see what he does in this game, and I think that's the reason why the bulk of the people like us that wanted Lance to start was that we felt like there wasn't a huge difference in what you're going to get with Jimmy and Trey Lance, and that
stylistically it would be almost opposite, but the end product would be pretty flippant.
Right, the end result, like Lance is going to he'll get to it differently, but
of course.
But
it might look whatever, like rough or whatever, but it's still going to be. So when you say readiness, never made any sense to me. Like, so Jimmy's ready. He makes the same mistakes and he's ready. Lance, so ready for Lance means being better than Jimmy. That doesn't make any sense to me. If it's close, it should be Lance.
Right, because he's going to get progressively better.
And Jimmy freaking won't.
Right. Like, and again, we talked about it before. Watch some of these young quarterbacks. Zach Wilson looks better. He looks better than previous.
Davis Mills looks better. I really was impressed with Davis Mills.
Yeah.
He battled in that game. He had Brandon Cooks, and that's it. And he made some really tough throws while getting crunched. I like Davis Mills.
You could look at the Texans and be like, all right, if I just put some weapons around Davis Mills.
Dude, you put Davis Mills on the Niners right now? If Davis Mills and Trey Lance switched teams, the Niners still would have won that game.
Right.
Nothing against Trey Lance, but Davis Mills would have beaten Trey Lance if Davis Mills were on the Niners and Trey Lance were on the freaking.
And Trey Lance might have looked like booty if he was on the Texans.
Yeah, because it's the Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Although I did like the Texans coach, like in the sense that he had a really bad team and he had that team competing for a long time. So shout out David Culley.
For the entire year, because that team was a dumpster fire from beginning to.
And it's not a dumpster fire anymore. It's a respectable bad team, which is more than we would expect. 7MP says, looking ahead to the offseason, the Niners can free themselves up of Garoppolo's contract. Do you think it will be possible to fix a secondary O-line and get another edge rusher?
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
They got to get some picks too, though. That would.
Yeah, I think when you look at the free agency, there's basically one guy out there that's going to be a free agent. It's Stephon Gilmore. So I don't know what he's going to command. I would, in my opinion, I would go after him. I would try to get a decent contract. Now, if that's not there, then I wouldn't really look to pay anyone else. I would handle it in the draft. But I do think you can get edge guys in free agency. And the Niners have one thing going for them. It's that in the past 2 years, they've been able to take an unknown guy and get productivity out of them at the edge.
Yeah,
that's going to make other edge guys want to come here because they're going to, on 1-year deals, they're going to want to get paid, and they're going to look at Kosarek and be like, well,
and Bosa,
I can get productivity here on a 1-year deal.
I'll get one-on-ones.
Yep. And I'll get my double-digit sacks, and then, I'll have Seattle sign me and get paid.
Shivnor says D'Amico and the D deserves more recognition. Coverages and the disguises have been huge. Sure, let me give them some recognition right now. Hold on. What is their defense ranked? I'll get it to you. It is ranked 4th in yards allowed. It's the number 4 ranked defense. That's terrific debut it's terrific any season for any defensive coordinator. Good job, D'Amico. Yeah, do it again. It's be a big week to have a dominant performance.
Yeah, shout out to D'Amico. He's done a great job.
I still think he's going to be I think he's a natural head coach candidate. Good position coach, good player, good position coach, good coordinator. I think he's proved himself at every level, unlike a guy like Singletary. He's more like Vrabel to me. He's a more successful coordinator than Vrabel ever was. Anyway, something to think about. Owners who watch this show a lot.
I thought coming into this season, like if you looked at who D'Amico was, he's like he really read like a young Robert Saleh. Really,
Yeah. I always compare him to Vrabel because he played.
Yeah, I do. I think they have a little bit of personality wise, like with D'Amico versus Vrabel.
Sure, they're a little different.
They're
a little
two different guys. Yeah.
But I still think in just the way a player might look at those guys, like I remember watching you. I respected you as a player. I respect you now. I think that's just a natural leader, I guess. A natural leader.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you look at what they've said, what people said about D'Amico even when he was a rookie, is that his leadership was major quality.
Yeah.
And he doesn't lose that. You don't lose that. So like
you can't minimize that, man. I mean, I think a lot of teams have found out the hard way that just hiring a play caller and making him the leader of your franchise doesn't necessarily bring success. You need a leader somewhere in that franchise. So, D'Amico, you got one, a D coordinator right now. That's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice. Anyway, Ted had an article today, says Hung Fat. Shout out Ted. Shout out Hung Fat. For 49ers Hive, and broke down each of Jimmy Garoppolo's wins versus the Rams and came to the conclusion SF won with GG, not because of GG. Dude, Ted is killing it right now. Shout out Ted.
You don't need really to analyze each of the Ram games for that. Like, if you analyze the entirety of their seasons of any game, like they don't win necessarily because of Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but what you're afraid of is the rookie making his third career start losing the game for you because he, messed up something because he's not quite mature and doesn't have the, he didn't know what to do in a certain situation. I guess that's what you're afraid of as a coach. I mean, the Niners have been afraid to play him all year. Let's be frank. They're terrified of what.
I'm also afraid of Jimmy G doing the same thing. So that's why I said play Lance.
Thank you. Stilo says Lance throws so hard his short medium passes across the middle get knocked down instead of picked like Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't even get tipped into the air. There was the one to on the last drive of the first half to Ayuk that went through the defender's hands. People said that was a near pick. That would have been a tough pick, man. He threw that one hard. And if I remember Kaepernick always had a very low interception percentage, but he would throw a lot of interceptable passes. It's just good luck. I mean, you're on defense for a reason. If you had good hands, you'd be on offense. So good luck catching a pass that is breaking offensive players' fingers.
I think though, to a certain extent, like you're going to see that throughout games, no matter who the quarterback is. Like there's going to be near picks. Like there's going to be picks that defenders don't make a play on, and so that's going to happen, right? But that's why you have to eliminate the stupid interceptions where you're throwing it right to a guy that's sitting right there. Like those are the ones you have to eliminate because those are the easiest ones to eliminate. So get rid of those ones. If a linebacker jumps up with his like 44-inch vertical and picks one off on you, all right, good job, dude. Or tips it or something. But you can't throw to the corner just sitting there. But you can't throw to like the linebacker just sitting there right in front of you. Those are the ones you gotta get rid of.
Orium44 says trade throw up or low for any pick from Cleveland. What? Throw up or low? Garoppolo. Trade throw up or low?
Oh, throw up or low.
Pick from Cleveland. Yeah. Cleveland could be the team that makes a bad decision on Jimmy because they're going to get rid of. Here's the way I look at Cleveland. They can't bring back Baker, and I don't think their fans want Baker back. But I don't think they're going to be really keen on the Moneyball approach that we talk about. Just draft a quarterback and see how it goes because they've been doing that for 20 years in Cleveland. It never works, ever. So they could look at a guy like Jimmy like, well, at least we know what we're going to get. At least he needs a known quantity. Yeah, and they wanted him 5 years ago. So Cleveland, if you're watching, don't do it.
And if you look at what Cleveland has, they could be like, well, how has Jimmy won? With a defense. We have a great defense here.
He can run this system.
Right.
Exactly. Scott Martin says if AR-12 wants to play in the Bay this offseason, does Lynch go all in to make it happen? Right? All the wrongs from 2005. That was a long time ago. No offense to Alex Smith.
No,
I mean, answer the question.
You've invested all this in Trey Lance. I don't think they're just going to go with.
So you're going to say no to Tom Brady and then 3 years later say no to Rodgers? No. I know.
I think I don't think. What are they going to do to trade? They're going to trade after they just spend all these.
I think they will. I think because here's the thing. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coachable. turn the team over to him. And I don't think Kyle wants to do that. I mean, if he was desperate, he would. But I think he likes the idea of a young, talented quarterback who's coachable and will actually listen to him, and that's Lance. Lance is very coachable.
Right. But they're not going to, like, right, that's a big point. But they're not going to get the return on investment. Like, they just spent 3 draft picks. Like,
yeah, and now you trade him the next year for what? As part of a package where he's like, yeah, it's like buying a new car for $500,000 and then driving it off the lot and selling it with like 10,000 miles on it for half the price. Like, why did you do that?
Right. I could see if let's say if like the games that Lance had played this year, he's throwing some stinkers and he looks like he's way over his head. Then you guys could start seriously talking about that. But like, he's been fine.
Yeah.
Why would
actually, I thought that was quite an impressive second start.
Not like that, Grant. Like we haven't even seen the biggest advantage that Trey brings. We've not seen it.
What's that?
He's
the quarterback,
1/4 of the cost of Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's true. I want to say something else too. You could even argue that he was better in the game against Arizona, and that the big difference was Kyle. I mean, we all talked about how Kyle's game plan for Trey was all wrong. And this game plan for Trey was way better. He was under center. He was handing off. Elijah Mitchell was a factor. And by the second half, Kyle really had a good rhythm going. So really, you could argue that dude's been pretty good for a while. That maybe I wasn't tripping when I was writing during training camp. That's really been bugging me all year. Like, did I really invent that? Because I pride myself in seeing what's really going on. And this year I was like, man, I projected for the first time. And now I feel like, no. That is what I saw. That right there is what I freaking saw. So anyway, I feel like I'm not going crazy, which is nice. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to throw on conspiracy hat, then maybe Kyle restricted himself because he didn't want to have a quarterback controversy. He's like, I'm just going to play Trey Lance as a running back. Kyle
is just conservative, and he's like, rookie can't play. Rookie can't play. You know, you can't give a Super Bowl team to a rookie. It takes 2 years to learn my offense. He never gave Trey a chance. Wrote him off. Not wrote him off, but just like, it's not your year, kid. And I just felt that was another bad decision from Kyle. Fortunately, Jimmy has forced Kyle to go back and revise the decision, and we'll see if it's not too late.
I think it was Maya Angelou that said, if someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Kyle has told us who he is a million times. Like he said, it's a comfort issue with me.
Yes.
And he said as much. And we all know Kyle he's brutally honest to a point. He's telling you why he doesn't play Lance and why he plays Lance this way. It's because he's got to get comfortable.
Stilo says when Stafford airs it out, he's very likely to throw 2 to 3 picks. He's thrown 6 picks in his last 3 games. How much damage could Lance do in a shootout, even with a pick or 2? Trey will overcome. No. Run the ball. Run. The Niners there's a way they've beaten the Rams the last 5 times, and it's not about airing it out. It's about running the damn ball and playing excellent defense.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this, and when we talk about I think it's in one of our topics.
It's the next one. It's the last one. It's the next one.
The game plan. Yeah.
Going Fishing says Trey avoided 3-4 sacks that Jimmy would have just taken. I agree. That is 3 to 4 situation that Kyle has a full playbook instead of 3rd and long situational plays. You just put a lot of situations in there. That is why you start Trey. I agree, man. People don't talk about that, but just being able to avoid pressure is such a key skill set in today's NFL. I think 10 years ago it wasn't as important, but I really feel like every year it's like that line from Dazed and Confused, you know? They get young, we get older, they stay the same age. It's like the pass rushers get faster and the offensive linemen just kind of stay the same. So
you know what I like about Lance is he can avoid pressure with keeping his eyes down the field. So he doesn't have to pull his eyes, avert his eyes away from his receivers when he feels pressure. He's still looking downfield, and that's going to create a lot of big plays. He does. I saw it at North Dakota State. He does have nice pocket awareness, and when he moves, when you don't spook him to run, like he doesn't spook and start to run. Like he's looking he's looking to throw it.
Let's lay out what the Niners' game plan should be in this matchup.
So they've got the general blueprint, right? They've beaten the Rams last 5 times. So they know that they got to try to take care of Cooper Kupp. Now it's a different quarterback with Stafford. You got to run the football. You just talked about it. Run the football. And one of your commenters just talked about Matt Stafford and his turnovers. In the last 8 games, Stafford has thrown 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. We saw him against the Niners last time. So let Stafford make mistakes, capitalize off them.
Yeah.
Make sure if he's throwing you footballs, Ambry, catch them. And don't turn the ball over yourself. The last game, the Rams had, I believe, 2 turnovers and the Niners had none. And that's generally the Niners formula with everybody that they play. Yeah. Don't turn the ball over, run the football, play solid defense. And special teams, don't do anything crazy. Like, just don't bungle it. Just, we don't expect you to play spectacular, but just don't fumble. Don't fumble. Nothing crazy. Just be average.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. I think the Niners need to be aggressive early in the game. Don't wait until the end of the first half, the beginning of the second half to get your nerve, Kyle. Be aggressive early in the sense that the Rams know how you've beaten them. They know you run the ball on them. I have a feeling in this game, which is a playoff game, they're going to do something different. They're going to make it their business. They're going to try something to stop your run game, especially if Jimmy's not playing. I think they could show the same lack of respect to Trey Lance's arm that Houston just did. So if they put 9 in the box and dare you to throw deep, accept the challenge right away and back them off, and then you'll win the game. If you come out scared and act like you don't expect Trey Lance can execute in a playoff type game, you're going to lose right before the game even starts. So you got to be aggressive early. If you are.
Yeah, the Rams generally have done well with mobile quarterbacks. So they have a certain comfort level there, but I'm sure they will challenge. They are going to challenge Trey. They have Jalen Ramsey, right? So
they can put Jalen Ramsey on Deebo Samuel and have him follow him the whole game and say, we're not going to let you go to him. We're going to force you to go to Ayuk. Yeah, there's all kind of things they can do. I don't expect the Niners to score a lot of points. They need to run the ball well, but I don't think the Rams are going to make it that easy on them. It's been easy in the past. I don't think it's going to be easy right now. I think they're going to do something different to force the Niners to pass. So pass. Do the play action. Call the shots early. Take advantage of it early. Don't do this like 3-point first half again. You'll lose. You'll lose. You will lose. That's my advice.
I agree. And if you look at the 49ers and throughout the season, it's not just, remember guys, it's not just Trey Lance. The 49ers offense has been stagnant through periods of time, even when Jimmy was out there. They'll go through.
Oh yeah.
Right. They'll go through a half and be non-existent. Right.
Tennessee, they had a good first drive, a good last drive, and nothing in between. Nothing.
Yeah. Like I saw your your boy Lombardi tweeted something out to the effect of, "Oh, the Trey played well, but you can't have the offense can't be stagnant, for periods of time like last week if they want to beat the Rams." I'm like, well,
I agree with that, but that's on Kyle. That's
right.
on Kyle.
But and that's not a
Trey thing.
That too, but that's not a quarterback issue. That's not an issue with Trey Lance because it's a Kyle issue. It's been that way with Jimmy too.
It's a team issue for sure. Stilo says if Trey started all year for Texans and Davis played his second game against them, the Texans would have killed us. Y'all tripping. I don't know about that. The Texans suck. I can name like 6 players in the Texans. I think that I tweeted that Trey Lance was the best quarterback on the field. I believe that. But I also like Davis Mills. And I think I was just trying to point out how big the disparity was in their supporting casts.
Yeah, there's a big disparity in the supporting cast.
I mean, if the Niners miss the playoffs, they'll be by far the most talented team that missed the playoffs. That's why. Yeah,
I think maybe that person misconstrued what you said. You're not saying Davis Mills is better than Trey Lance.
I'm not saying that.
I said no stratosphere, but You're saying that Davis Mills is good enough where he can execute that game plan and winning the football game. Might not have been, and that might not have been 20. The score to what it was. Maybe you won 13-3 or something like that, but you could have won the game.
Scott Martin says, "What's up with Trey Sermon? Wasted third-round pick. He's still on IR. They opened up his practice window a couple of weeks ago. They haven't activated him off it yet. I imagine they'll do it this week or not at all."
I always thought it was a wasted third-round pick because I think them
traded up for the dude. Traded up.
Not only that is you shouldn't be using third-round picks on running backs. Like,
good point.
The Niners should, as long as they have Bobby Turner, do not draft running backs high. You shouldn't do that in the first place, but not with Bobby Turner.
Just don't varsity blues it. Keep Lance safe. Starts up front with the offensive line. I've never seen varsity blues.
You haven't?
Sorry. It was James Vanderbeek. The movie came out when I was roughly 12. I missed it. I didn't play football, so it wasn't like a big cut. I also never watched Remember the Titans either. I missed that one.
Lance and Varsity Blues.
I've never seen Any Given Sunday. Never seen it.
Never seen Any Given.
I've never seen Any Given Sunday. I just didn't watch the Hollywood football flicks. You know why? Because the actors playing football players it's just so bad all the time. It's like it's hard to, even when you're a kid, you're like, it's not football.
Aren't you watching Friday Night Lights on Netflix now?
Yeah, but the thing about it is there's very little football in that show. There's very little action, and when it is action, they're all high schoolers anyway. So high school football I can't. I don't even find college football that interesting. So yeah, I'm just like, oh yeah, it looks probably what high school football looks like to me. I'm not a big amateur athletic guy. I'm sorry, but I hate on professionals for a living. So I just basically watch amateurs and be like, well, I want to hate on you, but you don't even get paid, so it's not even fun. Yeah.
So imagine Grant as a high school reporter.
No, I couldn't do that. You can't do that to kids. Christian 002 says 199. I wouldn't even feel comfortable doing it to college athletes.
No, I honestly have never seen a college reporter.
You can't really do that. It's not really in the spirit of it. The longest yard I have seen, because it's always on television and my wife finds it hilarious. My wife has a guilty pleasure for mid to late career Adam Sandler movies, which to me are objectively the worst movies Hollywood's made over the last 20 years. But every time that 50 First Dates is on, she always will keep it on the whole time. So I've seen those. And I'm not, hey, shout out my wife. I love you. I'm just saying those movies are corny. But I watch them too sometimes. Anyway, thank you for watching. It's been a long show. Don't tell my wife what I said about 50 First Dates and Adam Sandler movies in general.
She doesn't watch this stuff anyways, right?
She does.
She stays away.
I don't know if she made it this deep in the episode, though. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Later today, Jack and I are going to break down the film of Trey Lance's start. If you're into that kind of thing, let me know. We'll be here. Probably around 6-ish. I got to get a haircut. Peace.
Peace, guys.